There's going to be a lot of background noise. I just received an email from somebody. Their name starts with an L. And they reminded me that a lot of people may want some kind of recording for all the holiday travel. If you've never listened to this before, thank you for downloading it and trying it out. And hopefully it makes you relaxed or sleepy. I'm sleepy right now. I feel exhausted just thinking about traveling, which is why I decided not to travel this year. So I'm lucky in a way that I have that option. ASMR Sleep Station is made to get you relaxed and drowsy. And if you want to know more about ASMR, you can look it up, but it stands for Autonomic Sensory Meridian Response. And if you have it, then certain things trigger you to be relaxed, and you can get a physical response, like tingling of some sort on your scalp or your I think some people get it on their spine or their back, maybe your arms. I don't get it. I might have got it when I was younger, but I definitely get drowsy when I hear whispering and sometimes eating sounds, even though at the same time I think they're gross. So that's what this is. That's what this is made for. And if you've been listening to this, then thank you for your support. And thank you for everybody who leaves feedback and writes in. And yeah, pardon, there's going to be background noise. There's a lot of stuff going on where I'm recording. And there's also some vehicles passing by. I usually wait for that to pass and edit it out, but it might be too difficult today because I'm recording at a busier time of day than normal, but I really wanted to do this to just get something out for people who need it. Especially if you're traveling and you can't sleep well. I think that's a difficult time. And I bought a portable recorder, a portable audio recorder. So I'm very excited about that. I have it set to record 24-bit wave files at a 48K sample rate. And it's also going to record in stereo. That's a pretty standard recording format. So I'm going to see what that's like and see if I can't get a good recording off of it. The only problem is I've tested it a little bit. The microphone seems sensitive, but I'm not sure if I'll set this down near my other I'll see how that works, and maybe on this recording I'll put a kind of a mixture of the two, and I'm not sure yet. Man, my computer is getting slow. You can hear that fan kicking on. So, this may be one of the louder recordings. Hopefully it still gets you relaxed, and you might be on a plane right now, so you may not even notice it. Or your in-laws may be yelling at each other. Who knows? Okay, so I'm gonna start this portable recorder, and we'll see how the audio is. I've got that in place right next to the other microphone, and hopefully we get a good stereo balance, and I can test to see how it sounds. I think the quality should be similar. If it is, then I will be able to make way more recordings, because I won't bore you with logistics and things like that, but it just, my schedule is still a little sporadic, and it's just not always easy to record while I'm stationary. So when I'm on the go and I have an hour or some kind of break, like I used to record at a couple of outside locations before, I might do that again. The reason why I stopped doing that is because my computer got really, let me, what might stop this is if I put my computer in airplane mode, and it'll stop all these background things. So I couldn't take my laptop outside and make recordings, and that kind of slowed things down for a while. So now that I have a portable recorder, it should work better. And I did have another one, but it was, I think the recording quality was really meant for very quick and easy voice recordings with some kind of like digital voice recorder. So the sound on that thing was not up to normal standards, and it's a lot harder to edit that way. So anyways, that's the check-in status. I never promised you regular recordings, but I don't hate. I really dislike the idea of apologizing and making excuses, but right now I really feel sorry that I haven't recorded more. I suppose it's because I know a lot of people are probably not sleeping as well as normal, that's what comes out. No matter how hard I try not to focus on certain things like that, and maybe I'll let a lot of those ideas go in the coming year. Maybe that will be the meaningful and purposeful change that this show will go through. Is I'll stop trying to not do certain things, and I'll stop worrying about getting into topics that maybe are too personal or too human. The idea that I had when I started this was really to be like hanging out with somebody that rambles a lot at night, and you just kind of drift away. But as time went on, I felt like it was becoming way too grounded in personal and social things, and I wanted it to be more disembodied than that. And I don't think that's, well, it's definitely not easy for me, but maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe nobody minds, and maybe that's kind of a ridiculous objective, because it's really hard not to involve yourself in anything that you make. I could try reading things more straight up, and I will do that, but the filler, the introduction, the actual rambling itself, I don't think can be done by removing yourself. That's just, I don't know. Maybe it's impossible. Right? Because if you're rambling, it's kind of like giving your unsolicited opinion on things, and you're carrying the dialogue on with yourself, and you're pontificating on nonsense. So anyways, I'm not gonna, maybe that probably will be a change coming in the future, just not to worry about things like that, and to just kind of stop suppressing whatever comes out. That might be for the better. Alright, let's look at some feedback first. Actually, I'll mention some numbers about ratio of downloads between the recent 1 and 30 is 48%. So, I don't know what that difference is. But there is I don't know, for some reason more downloads for 30. Anyways, hopefully that put you to sleep. I don't think there were any other feedback messages anywhere else, just on the iTunes. I guess it's customer reviews. That's weird. Customer. I don't feel like you guys are customers. I should just call it reviews. That's strange. I guess it's probably more oriented around music, like buying things. I'll go in reverse chronology, and there's now 68 customer reviews, 92 ratings. I think the rating is still like 4 point something stars, so I guess it's still working for people. J.A. Gibson, Jaw Gibson, who knows, might be initials, on December 21st, winter solstice, 2016, left a review entitled, "This is the best way to relax," and left a 5-star review. So this is the most recent. I have chronic pain due to muscular dystrophy, and this often makes falling asleep very difficult. I'll toss and turn for hours and be way too uncomfortable to get tired. But when I listen to this podcast, I can drift off and stop focusing on being uncomfortable. This podcast lets me get tired. Once I can get my mind off being uncomfortable and I can listen to something relaxing, I definitely fall asleep much faster. Thank you for making this podcast. There's an exclamation mark there. I love the ramblings and the readings. You always do a great job. Thank you. And there's several exclamation points. You're welcome, with several exclamation points back to you. Muscular dystrophy. I can't imagine what that feels like. And one of the first things that I tell people, not on this podcast, but when people are having trouble sleeping, and I guess offer my 2 cents. I tell people to try to get in the habit of exercising regularly, and that will kind of establish a rhythm. And maybe one of the more common causes of being restless in bed is that you have lots of energy. You don't eat at the right time. You don't have a regular schedule, and I think you basically have a large reserve of fuel, and that really disrupts your circadian rhythms. So when you, I don't know what kind of exercise you can do when you have muscular dystrophy, but that sounds already difficult, because your life is probably schedule, and definitely more physically painful than the average human. So, so that's gotta be tough. I thank you for writing in, though. I don't really, I don't know what else to say to that. I mean, I feel honored that this helps you, and I'm here to help you relax. So, thanks for putting that review, and hopefully you get a handle on your chronic pain, or I guess learn to deal with it until it doesn't affect your sleep anymore. But I have no doubt that's a difficult thing to learn to live with. So thank you, and I'm glad I make you tired. Hopefully you're asleep and you're not even hearing this. Laughing just doesn't work when you're whispering. Okay, the next one is from BA3APOB. Maybe Poop. No, I don't know. I'm not sure what that name means or how to say it, but those are the letters. This one was left 3 days earlier on December 18th. It says, my favorite podcast for sleep aid, and they left a 5-star review. Thank you for doing that and taking the time. It reads, this is by far my favorite podcast for relaxation and helping me fall asleep. I don't know if I ever made it to 10 minutes in an episode before I'm out like a light, since the host normally introduces each episode by highlighting new reviews. I'll address him directly. Your voice, there's a colon there. Your voice is perfect and so attractive. I'd listen to you read the phone book. Keep up the good work. That's actually a good idea. Could read the phone book. I might try that someday. What's that? There's a weird political word. Is it? It's not filibuster. I can't look it up right now. It's filibuster. It's if it's not filibuster, it's one of those weird words that sound like it. And they do it to stall. Is it stall hearings? It's basically to make a long meeting. They read phone books. At least I've heard that they do. Man, what is going on with this computer? It's so loud. I can't figure out why this fan is just... Maybe it's getting hot in here. I don't know. Well, thank you for the really nice review. I'm glad it's working for you, and I'm very happy to hear you never make it that long. That's what I'm trying to do. I keep trying to drink tea to make my throat less airy, but it's really not working. I think I'm dehydrated or something. I heard that a lot of singers drink tea. If you're ever trying to make your voice sound nice, so not nice. I think if I have some time, I'll talk about music. Somebody who wrote in was asking me about music, and that's like a huge topic for me. I love all kinds of music. I think music and art in general is very, very important, and I don't find meaning in a lot of things except for art. That seems important to me. It seems closer to what makes us unique, I guess. The rest of humanity I see is all these complicated systems that are like giant boulders rolling down a hill or a mountain. They have their own structure and dynamics, and they're, I guess, boring in a way. Governments and economic systems owning things, civilizations, cultures without the artistic side of them. And it's a really deep and odd topic, what constitutes art, but those things all seem kind of boring to me sometimes, and meaningless in a lot of ways. I don't even think if humanity was an entity, I don't think we'd really know what we're doing or where we're headed or what is our purpose. I think we're just consuming our environment recklessly. But art is exceptional, in my opinion. So that's one of the few things that makes me feel anything. I've been listening to music pretty heavily since I was young, and now I have. I'll go into it later, but I have more music than I could possibly listen to, and I probably want to hear too many different things, so I'll probably list off some bands later. I don't know what that had to do with the review. I think I've lost myself in that rambling, but thank you. BA3 sounds like a robot name. I wonder if anybody saw Rogue One. I really liked that movie. That was fun, and very touching in a war story kind of way. I think I like the characters in that Star Wars movie more than most. Maybe the most. I'm not sure. I really like the robot in that one. I think his name started with a K. Was it like KS2, K2? No, I don't remember. Anyways, maybe I'll talk about that later. I always think of things that I want to, I guess, review in a light way, like movies I've seen and books I've read. I always forget. I think a couple episodes I talked about books that I really liked, and maybe since the year's ending I'll mention some of the books that I read this last year that I really save that for another time. So thanks for writing in. The next review was left December 10th, 8 days prior to the previous one. It's entitled ASMR Review, and also another 5-star review. I'm overwhelmed. It's titled Jeez Louise, with an exclamation point by C Goodness. C Goodness. Oh no, I'm sorry. That, I started reading the wrong one. I skipped over one. This one was left 11 days prior. I'll go back to the one left December 10th afterwards. So, no longer reverse chronological order. Now it's just chaotic. So this is kind of weird to divulge, but I've been having a crazy stressful semester at school and haven't been sleeping very well. Since I found this podcast, I haven't been able to listen to an entire one without falling asleep. Exclamation point, your voice is so soothing. It helped me get some C's and win back a little of my sanity. I find myself wondering what you look like, though. Lol. Would it break the spell? Ramble about that next time if it's not too uncomfortable. Well, first off, thanks for reading the review. Secondly, I'm guessing your semester is over now, and I think our semester is over now. Maybe they're not. Oh, it probably depends on what country you're into. Yeah, I'm not sure. So, secondly, I hope your semester went or is going well. Hopefully you get your sleep and your focus. And I'll hope that you're not procrastinating, which is a good way of self-sabotage. If you're trying to memorize things, staying up all night and getting little or no sleep is almost an assurance that your cognitive ability will be well below par. If anybody wants to, you can look that up. There's some pretty simple studies. I think they used one and two digit addition and subtraction that really gets ugly if you only get a little bit of sleep. So I'm glad you're sleeping better and you're not insane. Although it may feel like that. I think school is hard and I don't know if I've rambled about this before, but I think school is really a test to see how good you are at going to school, which isn't totally without value, but I don't think it always correlates to how well you do in a job. However, I think it does show how well you can do by forcing yourself into systems and doing things that require a lot of will. So, school's important, but I don't think the real objective is to really educate you, but really to put you through an established thing called school. I think that's what happens when things get institutionalized. There's been a few people that have tried to figure out and classify how people learn and then educate them based mixture of unnecessary pressure and way too much focus on things that I really don't think are important at a time in your life when it's very hard to know what you're doing with your life or what life is. I don't know what it is. I haven't figured that out. But I can observe others, and I don't think other people know either. Anyways, the third thing, it might break the spell to talk about what I look like. I try to leave out personal details that identify me. I could be a woman. I guess you don't really know that. Or I could be older or younger than I sound. I think you could tell by the things that I reference how old I could be, but maybe I'm young and I like old things, or maybe I'm old and I pretend to be younger than I am. I don't think you can know. I don't think I've left any really big clues, and I try not to confirm things because I really don't want you to get too accurate of a mental image of me once you start to know who I am and what I do with my time, where I live, where I'm from. I think it'll all start to form a picture of me in your head, and I think it's important that you don't know what I am. The more nebulous I am, and the less attached to me you are, I think the better your mind can wander, and that might really help you fall asleep. I am almost overwhelmed with frustration with this computer, and it's whining. I have 2 programs open, and this thing is just... what is it doing? I even turned that virus thing off. It's like it's not using a lot of its memory or CPU. What is it? I'm gonna try to... this thing is driving me nuts. Like, why were all these things running in the background? Like, search. What is that? I'm not doing anything. I hope this doesn't give me an error while I'm recording. That's my reason for not wanting to, I guess, describe myself, or even say what I look like. I think earlier this year, a goal of mine, not a New Year's resolution, and maybe I'll talk about that at some point. I don't know how useful New Year's resolutions are. It's for most people. I'm not saying you're going to fail, but I think for most people it's a good way to ensure that you don't change. And I did talk about that. I think I talked about that last year. Anyways, one of my goals was to stop making too many self-defining statements and self-referential statements it's a weird habit, and it seems inert, but I think is very important if you want to change, and I do. I'm always looking to leave behind useless and destructive habits, which I have a lot of. And when I say things like, I'm a night person, I like this and only this, I love this, I hate that, my ethnicity is this, I don't know, is that a fact? I guess that's a fact. Maybe you can't get around that. But I don't identify with much. And I just started off in my life when I was younger in just a weird spot where I didn't really care about belonging to things as much, and challenged what I was and how I fit in, and because of that, I don't really identify with much today. I live in a country that I don't really feel a part of. I kind of feel a part of humanity, but I don't identify with a lot of people. And it used to be a more destructive, alienating judgment. Now, I think it's become something more of a, maybe a way of, I suppose, being open to non-violent things. It's an extreme view, but I do believe identifying with certain nations and ethnicities and genders and colors and all that, it can lead to violence. It often does. It's not like you're gonna start throwing sticks and stones at people, but it's a subtle violence, and it perpetuates division, which is something to me that is unnecessary. I suppose that is my judgment in itself, but defining yourself is, well, I think in general is problematic. If I were to be fair, I should have somebody else describe me, not do it myself. I'm the worst person to ask, I think. And I probably look just like you. And it doesn't make me uncomfortable. Maybe after a while, a long while, I'll start to be a little bit more personal, but for the time being, I think I'll just be the way that I am. And naturally, I don't want to be acknowledged or seen. So, I think that's one of the catch-22 things about me doing this, is I'm an introvert, and I don't usually do social things, but I will sit down and talk to all of you in a very one-sided, controlled way. I don't usually have much to say. If you've been listening to these recordings, you know that I think way too much, and in a way I don't really have much to say because I haven't really thought about it. Sometimes not be quiet all the time, but spend more time in silence, think more before we talk, and more before we do things. I don't enforce that on anybody, but that's what I do myself. So, to sit here and pontificate is very odd. I feel strange a lot of the times. If you go back, I feel self-conscious, or really self-conscious when I first started recording, and now I still feel like that, but I'm letting go more. I'm not uncomfortable though. Just strange. Strange is a nice place to be. So I've rambled so much. I think there'll only be time for reading the last review left on iTunes, and then I'll cut it off. And hopefully make another recording soon. I don't know if I'm going to use the portable recorder recording, or maybe release them separate. I don't know. Alright, there was a 5-star review entitled ASMR Review left December 10th by Fat Goat 101. Funny name. It reads, "Wow, every time I listen, I'm usually out within minutes. It's funny. I'll usually hear something different every time though. I'm listening to the same episode. I like the personal insights you throw in about your life. Keep up the good work." I really hadn't read this yet, so it's kind of funny that they left a comment about insights in my life. Maybe I'll take it as a sign. That's kind of mystical in a way. Maybe I'll continue to do that and talk about things that I want to share with people. If I can make any kind of positive impact on your life, first and foremost, by helping you sleep and maybe help you resolve things or change the way you see things, then I've exceeded any expectations for this. And I've said this before, but when I read these reviews and I think about people that these recordings have actually helped, I really do feel overwhelmed and affected in a very unique way, because I don't do this type of thing in any other capacity, so the fact that I'm helping you sleep is well, it's what I wanted to do. So thanks for leaving that feedback, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. Thank you, and everybody else, for leaving reviews and downloading this and all that. This is on iTunes, Stitcher, what's the other one? Podbay. If you Google it, I think the main website comes up first, and there's some links. So if iTunes doesn't work, or you have ethical issues with Apple, then you can go do it. Download it somewhere else. I meant that as a joke, kind of. I had a lot of things I was gonna say. If you're still listening, you're not asleep, then one of my go-to relaxation inhale and then count 1, exhale that breath. You can try to add pauses in between the inhales and exhales, and you count 3 breaths, and that is 1 cycle. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, and keep doing that. I don't think I ever make it into double digits. What does that end up being, like 30 breaths? If you're breathing slow, that's a lot of time. If you're down to like, 2 cycles in a minute, what is that, 15 minutes? 15 minutes of just breathing and focusing on your breathing usually makes you tired or hypnotizes you. Hypnotizes you. I think a lot of meditation might be self-hypnosis. If meditation helps, then do that, but I mean, I'm just trying to give you another thing that might help you. If you can count to a really high number, breathing in groups of 3s, try 6. A lot of times during the day, I do that to try to just breathe more. I guess my breaths feel short to me when I'm conscious of it, and I try to count 6 slow breaths in a row, and I pause after I inhale and let that air sit in my lungs a little bit. It feels nice. If you focus on it, it's relaxing, and hopefully that helps you fall asleep if you're still awake. Another thing, a mental game that I like to play is to read something that is beneficial. Like, say you want to learn about crafting sailboats out of wood, and you haven't done that. Buy that book and try to get maybe an e-reader with like a not obnoxious light or a really dim reading light. And lights are important. If you have too many bright lights on, then it won't. I don't think it works as well. So get some kind of reading light and read a book. Not a storybook, unless you know the story makes you boring. Like if Crime and Punishment always makes you tired, and you want to read it, then try reading that. If you're reading more than 10 or 15 pages at a time, then you might enjoy it too much. So find something that is beneficial, like, I guess something more like a textbook, and read that. And the game that at least I'm playing with myself is you're either learning something beneficial and you're benefiting from being awake, or you're passing out. So it's kind of providing a better alternate outcome. You're exchanging the alternate outcome of laying in bed, struggling, and being uncomfortable and not achieving anything with something a little bit more beneficial and useful. And if you've been awake for long enough and you've had a moderately productive and active day, and you're reading something that's not too stimulating, I feel like it should knock you out. I don't know many people that can do that. If you're surfing the net or you're looking at a screen, this won't work. That's way too bright and stimulating, and if you have sleeping problems because you have bad habits, then that's not problem sleeping. That's problems regulating your looking at screens or watching TV or something. I don't think there are many people that have true insomnia where it doesn't matter what you're doing. You might have issues with your circadian rhythm, I think it's melatonin. I forget if melatonin is natural. I think it is. So your neurochemistries get messed up with certain types of insomnia. I think a lot of it is anxiety and problems with activity level, lack of exercise, and really bad habits before and while you're trying to sleep. You know that. I've known that about myself when I've had sleeping problems, and I think every person I've ever known, when I've really figured out what their habits are, hasn't had a legitimate sleep problem. They just have bad habits. So, I would imagine most of the people that listen to this and can't fall asleep, it's probably because of something like that. You know, don't look at screens, don't watch TV an hour before bed, don't eat right before bed, or don't eat lots of sugary things before bed. These aren't hard and fast rules. There's exceptions. Like if you're really tired, you can pass out watching TV. I think people do that all the time, but if you have an ongoing habit of doing that, then that's your issue. So maybe I'll mention more things like that at the end of these recordings for people that are still awake. So thank you everybody for listening. I hope you're all asleep or relaxed. I hope you have a good break from school or work or whatever. And I hope you're being kind to yourself and others. I don't know if I believe in Christmas, but all year round I believe in people being good to each other. And Christmas is just as good of time as any time to do that. Same with Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and whatever else. I don't know them all. Just respect that life is short